Welcome back to another episode of the Game Language Podcast, where we deduce, dissect, and discuss video games and whether or not they speak our language. I'm Troy. With me always is
Jason.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, you know, holiday season got me amped up. I'm just charged up over here.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm feeling pretty good. And today we actually have a guest. We have one of our friends, Josh. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Yeah, hanging out.
Just hanging out. Feel that.
But yeah, this is your first time on the episode. We like to do a couple intro questions, just to kind of get to know a little bit about you. So I've got a few things for you here. Number one, how often do you game?
Probably every single day. Every single day. If I'm not gaming, I'm looking at something gaming wise on YouTube, Twitch. So it's every single day, if not multiple hours of the day.
Yes, a fellow obsessed gamer. I like that.
I love this.
I'm
not alone.
No, not at all. What game genre would you say stands out to you the most?
Anything Souls-like. I know that's kind of a weird term. People don't like throw that around, but Souls-like games, the challenge, the difficulty, the feeling of overcoming something very hard and built against you is so satisfying. Yeah, it's my obsession. FromSoft and all that.
I love that. I'm a competitive gamer. It's not the same, but similar. I like overcoming something extremely challenging.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Gives you a high for sure.
For sure. What are some game mechanics you enjoy or wish were better represented?
We were talking about this a little earlier, but Death Stranding, that game mechanic, the entire world of this micromanagement delivery system, and then, as you progress in the game, there's roads, zip lines, new ways of traversal, and getting these things everywhere, and what people need, and I know it's kind of a new genre, but I can't wait to see the next Death Stranding. And then as far as better represented, I just recently played a game that I feel like there's not a ton of them like that out there. There's a few for sure, but it's called Factorio. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just this micromanagement delivery system on belts to get things built and just create a factory. And it's very similar to Satisfactory, things like that. But I was looking around at other ones since they just had a recent, Factorio had a recent Space Age expansion, and there just really wasn't a lot of other games in the genre, and I was kind of disappointed to find like the only other most popular one was Satisfactory, which I've played a bunch of, but outside of those two, it's kind of an untapped field.
Yeah. I haven't really played any of those games. I do watch a streamer who will play Satisfactory from time to time, and so I feel like I should have been there when he started his run, because I don't understand what's happening when I'm watching him play it. But it kind of seems like it's similar to the vibe of Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you start from a few things and you just sort of build this working machine, which seems satisfactory.
I was going to ask, is Satisfactory satisfying?
It's incredibly, when you see all these belts and things moving across them, and then as you feed different resources into the belts, it becomes this obsession to grow and make it bigger and do more, and and then you're on an industrial scale, and it's insane. It's insane.
All of a sudden, you're getting a 401k.
All right. And then one final question: which video game character best represents you?
Oh man, see, I was thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Best video game character that represents me and I don't know if there's a specific one, but any paladin type character, lawful good. It's just the way I generally kind of tend to lean. Whether it's D&D or any other RPG game, if you can give me plate armor and a shield and sword and give me some sort of holy damage, I'm just gonna rock that the entire time.
Hell yeah.
All right, and then I do have a bonus question. You can steal one item from any video game character. What would you take, and what would you use it on?
Oh man, one item from any video game character. That's a good one. I would, I've always loved Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. His arm thing, that Omni Blade.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think about that day and night. Like, I don't want lightsabers. I don't want all those. Just give me this sick Omni Blade. Oh my god.
Yeah,
because it gets all this. It's like an entire computer in his arm. It's like a Pit Boy, but Fallout, or not Fallout, but Mass Effect, and the Omni Blade would probably be the one thing. I know it's not much, but it would just be to show off.
I feel like it's more than enough.
Yeah, self-defense.
So that's what you use it on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Self-defense.
Somebody please attack me.
I'd love to give you a reversal counter.
Right.
All right. Well, those are all the questions I got for you. Now, normally we want to kind of figure out, what you've been playing lately. We like to talk about some of the games that we've been dabbling in as of late. Jason, what you been playing, man?
Oh man, mostly Helldivers 2 and Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
I also did start playing the original Resident Evil, the remake. I'm trying again to beat that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've never beaten it. I've beaten 2, 3, everything onwards except 7,
Yeah.
which I'm also halfway through.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I've been playing is Resident Evil 1, 7, Helldivers 2, and Marvel Rivals.
Damn, so you're playing everything.
Hey, that's 4 games. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
That's
It's not that bad.
that's a couple of games. What about you, Josh? What you been playing?
Pokemon. I've been
Yeah.
playing Scarlet like crazy this week just because of the event going on.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna need your help with that, Rayquaza, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then since the Night Rain announcement with Elden Ring at the Game Awards recently, I've been fully fledged back into Elden Ring. I'm on my second play. I just finished my second playthrough of the DLC, and then probably Factorio and Marvel Rivals. Yeah, keeping it pretty simple. There's not. It's been a weird year for gaming. I've been wanting to make a dip back into Black Myth Wukong. But,
Actually, I did play that last week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since they added that update.
They did. They added a whole bunch of new stuff for it. Quality of life.
Yeah, the map.
Yeah.
The map is so much better.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all that's on my radar. I'm playing right now, as we all know. So
Nice. I've been playing. So I just recently purchased. What is it? What is the name of that game? The Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Yeah, I always forget the extra title of that. So Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. So I was watching a video on YouTube of just some gameplay of it, and I'm like, this game looks very anime, and it's on sale, so I went and picked it up. It is so satisfying.
It's a platformer?
Yeah, well, it's a Metroidvania.
Oh,
so
okay,
it's Metroidvania.
nice.
Yeah. So they went back to sort of like the old side-scrolling Metroidvania feel of Prince of Persia. It's really, really fun. If you like high-octane, high-speed, high-action. That's also probably why I got it, because we just watched the Sonic movie, and I needed something to give me a vibe of like expressive action. I do need to buy that. Aside from that, I'm playing a ton of Marvel Rivals. I am hopelessly obsessed with that game. I think that it scratches that itch that Overwatch Season 1 scratched. I can't help playing that game. But that's about it. Just those two, really.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing what we've all been playing. But let's find out what's going on in the world of gaming with our 3 bites of news stories this week. So, first bit of news this week is Sony now owns the majority share in From Software parent company, Kadokawa. They are at 10%. So, I'm a little worried about that as a recent PC convert. I hope that FromSoft games are not going to be locked to PlayStation going forward after this, but we'll see. I do enjoy playing the games actually running at 60. So, yeah. Hope that just is just for extra money for them.
If we would see any type of change in that, about when would you project that we would see something? Like in the next couple years?
Yeah, you probably won't see an effect on it, at least for 3 to 5 years, because if they just bought it and now they're like greenlighting projects that they want for exclusivity,
yeah,
it's going to be 3 to 5 years for game development time.
Yeah.
And FromSoft is very good about that time frame. They don't usually take, like, even Elden Ring, as big as it was only 5 years, so they're a pretty quick company. So I would expect it within, if it's going to be like exclusive stuff, probably 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Okay.
Yeah, I was excited to hear about this just because I know that there was a threat of another company kind of coming in that Kadokawa didn't want to take over. And considering Kadokawa has worked with Sony previously on Bloodborne titles, Demon's Souls, all that stuff, I hope that there is a little bit of amicability there where they're still going to allow FromSoft to have that creative freedom, not try to force them to rush out projects before they're ready. But I am excited for it no matter what. It just means that there's a little bit more, at the very least, funding coming into anything FromSoft related, which I'm always on board for.
I was going to say, I know Kadokawa was mostly worried. It wasn't specifically a specific company that they were worried. It was worried about not having someone from their own country. They wanted a Japanese company to own them, not a
they
Western
run business in a very specific way. Yeah,
exactly. So that makes sense. But yeah, I honestly don't think Sony's going to be that bad. They've been pretty good about like letting things go to PC especially lately. So,
well, yeah, it feels like that's the next drive they're making, which I calling out 2024 under your prediction that eventually the next like one of the PlayStation machines will be like a PlayStation PC, and I think they're going to try to come up with their own way to have their own launcher operating system, much more ease of access, to allow libraries to converge, things like that.
Yeah, I just hope they don't make me.
Years.
I just hope they don't make me pay for PS Plus.
I know that's if they could just get rid of that, they have a whole game change for the house.
But yeah, well, we'll move on to the next bite of news. So recently, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella doubled down on the "this is an Xbox" strategy from their latest ad campaign, and seems to be completely leaving the exclusive strategy for Xbox seen recently with the Outer Worlds 2 reveal trailer showing a PS5 release date the same day. So, recently we've been getting Xbox games going multi-platform, but there's still that, that old school, hey, you're going to have to wait a couple months for the window. That's completely out of the window for Outer Worlds 2, which is one of their most newly announced games. And with the statements from the CEO, it kind of seems like you would only buy an Xbox as a cheap way to play games on your TV. It does not seem like there is the exclusive strategy is completely being left out. So not a bad thing per se. As a PC gamer, I don't care, but because that means I can play it. And I do think it also bodes well for Microsoft Studios because they own so many. Mm-hmm. This helps them be able to secure better profit margins so that they don't have to shut studios down, hopefully. But yeah, I did think it's kind of interesting that the console war is kind of dying now. It's really only Nintendo and Sony keeping it up.
With that, do you miss the era of the console wars?
I do. Yeah. I do. I think that we got way better games during that era from exclusives. We got the Uncharted trilogy, but then we also got the Gears trilogy, Halo games, all those. Microsoft and Sony kept each other on their toes. Yeah. Nintendo's always done their own thing, so I've never felt like anyone really competes with them. Mostly because they're just no, we're on a different direction. So it is a little sad to me that Xbox hasn't been able to keep it up because I feel like, and this is just my thoughts, but I feel like Sony's been pretty complacent this generation. We're not really getting any big exclusive games at all from them. This year, Astrobot was amazing, but most games come out on PS4 or they'll come out on PC 6 months later. And Microsoft has been not really, churning out the big ones or the highly rated games in the last 10 years. So it's been rough.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to see it go, but I understand that business wise, if I want game studios to survive, probably can't have that anymore. Because it looks like the economy just can't handle supporting 3 different titans that way.
I do like the fact that any Xbox controller from the Xbox One S or the Xbox One and on the new Series X, they can just be immediately Bluetooth synced up with a PC. You don't have to do anything crazy with it. And I almost wish the last generation of PlayStation controllers had the same thing because I was so used to that format. Mm-hmm. But having it such an ease of access, instantly connected, the entire device, every game recognizes it, Steam recognizes my Xbox controller. It does, I think, give them kind of a leg up. Plus, the Xbox Marketplace launch platform application on Windows is pretty seamless. I played one of the more recent Gears ones through them, and I couldn't find any complaints about it.
Yeah, I love the PC Game Pass. I think Microsoft will be fine. I just think that it's just a little sad to see, because I was a huge Xbox 360 guy.
Oh yeah, same.
Same.
And so it's just kind of sad to see a company that I used to adore and admire just kind of have to go to the
wayside. I have to agree. Being as I grew up having a lot of Xboxes, I normally try to get each version. In certain flagship characters like Master Chief, not seeing him around as often is kind of a bummer. Yeah. So I do agree with you in the sense that even though I'm winning as a PC gamer and getting everything coming to PC pretty quickly after it releases on the console, it was nice having that sort of back and forth of who's going to have the next big either game or IP that's going to come out. And with PlayStation and Xbox competing, we got really high quality games. Now it does feel not so much. Yeah. So yeah, I understand that feeling. I'm kind of in the middle where I'm happy with my PC purchase because I'm getting what I want out of this era of gaming. But at the same time, I do find myself yearning for the day, like those sort of games from back in the day that were really monumental and sort of like not, I won't say memory creating, but they stuck with me a lot more.
Well, a lot of them were genre defining games, like Halo 3. Like if you think about the Halo original, like how much it changed online multiplayer for console games, it's indisputable the effect it had on the industry. And then same thing with like Sony, like Last of Us and Uncharted, like they made the movie game like extremely popular. And I feel like that was in response to the fact that like they were failing most of the PS3 generation. They didn't get it back until the end. And it was because of the competition. It put a fire to their butt, and pressure, diamonds are created under pressure. I feel like exclusives that feel like that have that like risk and that weight, that's like, dude, our platform success hangs on us making really high quality games that you can only find here. That just doesn't exist anymore. And so it's a little sad to see that.
And I almost feel like it hasn't existed for some time, because if we even look back to the Xbox One compared to the PS4, generational comparatives, the PS4 had insane exclusive titles that every time God of War Ragnarok made me dust off my PS4 Pro and plug it back in so I could play it, because I'm not making the leap to the PlayStation 5 because I am full PC now, but it was one of those things where it's like, if this can still run it, I'm going to run this, because the titles that PlayStation got, where I feel like you look at the Xbox One, you had a couple Gears, you had a couple Halos, but then outside of that, what was the big appeal to it outside of Xbox Live? And when you're looking at, I think for me personally, when I'm looking at it, I'm paying for a cost for a service that I could get for PC. It's almost, why not make the jump to PC? So I think, if anything, we'll see Xbox drop the subscription model for Xbox Live before Sony will, for sure. I think that's crazy. I am excited to see what changes those companies will make as far as for games and services compared to hardware.
But we'll look forward to that future. But moving on to the next, the final piece of news. I thought this one was pretty funny, but the Borderlands 4 lead writer, Sam Winkler, spoke about upcoming Borderlands 4's writing. And the quote he said is, "I'm not going to say there's no toilets, but if the word skibbity ships in the game under my watch, I'm going to cry real tears." And this was an interview where he was talking about and acknowledging the criticism about Borderlands 3, which he agreed with, relied too much on an overabundance of toilet humor. And so he wants to dial that back and get it back. He's like, we're not getting rid of like the comedy, but we're want to ground the game a bit more, make it a little more gritty. And so there's no Hawk Tuah gun in the game, which I will say, that one would be funny. That's one on the nose.
That is a missed opportunity. The Hawk Tuah gun.
The Hawk 2A is I think someone put it in. But yeah, so I thought that one was pretty funny. I'm not really a Borderlands guy, but I'm looking forward to seeing the reception of Borderlands 4.
So I've actually played every single title, and like every character. I always go Siren first because they're my favorite. And there was a completely noticeable difference from like the quality of Borderlands 2, the humor, everything was just perfect. It felt like, to like 3, it was almost like they were trying too hard to make those funny jokes happen. And it felt like there was a completely different generation of people they were trying to appeal to.
I played through Borderlands 3, and I also like the Sirens normally because they're very cool. I played as what was her name, Amara? Yeah. And so playing through 3, it was the story was frustrating. And the two like not twins, but the two like streamer characters or whatever, like I wasn't feeling the humor. I love the gameplay though.
Oh, it was so clean. The combat is, again, what you I guess I kind of know Borderlands for, and some of the silly side quests, but the weird jokes, the protagonist, the antagonist, it just didn't hit like. And again, they struck gold with Borderlands 2. I think that was the best one they've had, because Handsome Jack as the villain and the entire cast, it was a phenomenal story aside to an amazing game. You know.
Did you end up playing Tiny Tina's?
I was just gonna say
Assault on
the like Tiny Tina
Wonderland. I beat that all together completely. I thought it was really fun. The mechanics of being able to dual class is really cool. But I just wish there was more. It felt very short.
We haven't finished it yet, but after playing Borderlands 3 and then playing Tiny Tina's, I felt like the humor in Tiny Tina's landed a lot more. And I don't know if it was just that Tiny Tina was carrying the humor, because I don't know, I laughed at a lot of her jokes.
Will Arnett and Andy Samberg in the game also like helps out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were hilarious.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're maybe taking a back step a little bit closer to Borderlands 2, 3 with that, and I think they really did a good job with it. Plus, Borderlands in a fantasy realm, it's already you got me on board there. Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was I'm looking forward to it. That kind of stuff excites me, and I will say my Borderlands experience has mostly been with Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and I actually like the humor a lot in that game.
Oh, it's great.
So I'm looking forward to it. I remember hearing all about the Borderlands 3 complaints, and I was like, well, I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, give it a little bit.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for the news. So now we're going to move on to impressions. Mm-hmm. And the impressions section this week, we've got 2. But one, it's the big one. We just saw the Game Awards 2024. Pretty awesome show.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to, if I should say so myself. I really liked it. This was by far the best Game Awards show I think I've seen in their history. And it was the 10-year anniversary, so it was I felt like one of the things, and we'll get into it, but I felt it was very nostalgia themed in this Game Awards. Like a lot of the announcements were returning titles from franchises we long thought were kind of underground.
Yeah.
So I felt it was very fitting. Like not only was like the show about celebrating itself, but the announcements they did tend to celebrate legacy. And so I thought that was a really good mix of theme and announcements. What'd you guys think overall before we get into like trailers and stuff? What'd you think of the show?
Yeah, so overall I did I have to agree. I think that this is probably the best show I've seen in a while. They always have their musical guests. They'll have like, their goofy people, whether it be Crash Bandicoot in a suit or it's any one of the Muppets. But I feel like all of the extra things that came out, I won't say extra, I feel like the trailers are extra, but everything that was surrounding the show itself was actually smartly executed. I really did like the Muppets. I don't remember their names, but them
Waldorf,
and yeah,
I can't remember the stock.
I don't remember.
Stock and Waldorf.
But their commentary on it and the things that, of course, everybody was thinking about, I think was on the nose. I think that their musical guests were properly picked. They had great performances, and there weren't a lot of like mistakes or weird things that happened. Nobody coming up on stage that shouldn't have been. I think that we also had
no Bill Clinton.
No Bill Clinton. Something important that I think that the Game Awards always kind of struggles with is talking about things that are actually going on that people have problems with in the industry. And it was cool to have what is his name from the one that did Baldur's Gate?
Sven.
Sven giving his sort of like his speech about like proper treatment of employees, and then also recognizing that I have to remember his name, but the guy who is creating the job opportunities for developers.
Amir.
Like, so I think that all of the things that need to be spoken about were spoken about properly. They didn't feel like it was just Jeff trying to check off a checklist, which sometimes it does. And yeah, so overall, I enjoyed the show despite how good the trailers were. It's probably one of my favorite shows in a while.
How do you feel, Josh?
I liked the announcements and I agree with everything. And I think you guys already know where I'm going with this. The Game of the Year winner was, I'll give it to the developers. I didn't fully play Astrobot, but I feel like the contenders for this year, and it just goes to show that 2024 wasn't the greatest year for gaming.
You might have to save this for save it for the final credits.
Bro. I'm gonna fight you on that one.
I will say I did thoroughly enjoy the Game Awards. It gave me a hope that 2025 is going to be such an excellent year for games, since it's kind of been a lull year. That's like, okay, now there's been enough time to kind of converge, and obviously there's a lot of companies getting bought and a lot of changes happening. That 2025 is going to be the year that we finally see title after title. So like, though it was amazing this year and I thought it was fantastic and it definitely was one of the better ones, I cannot wait to see 2025's Game of the Year, because we're going to have knockout games come out next year. So the contender for Game of the Year is going to be insane.
Yeah, someone's going to have to compete with GTA 6, and I am not.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
No, I know, but it's GTA.
Yeah, I assume GTA is going to win.
I have a feeling that they're going to do the same thing they did with Red Dead, release it so late in the year where it's not going to be a playable or not going to be considered for the 2025 Game of the Year.
Red Dead got considered. It didn't
get considered for GOTY that year, I believe. I think it was the next year that it got considered for the Game of the Year. So I think
it was the.
Was it the same year?
It was the same year. It lost to God of War, 2018.
Was that 20 years?
Yeah,
Red Dead 2
or was it the
and God of
PC
War
release I'm thinking of that they had? Regardless,
Yeah.
I do think that they're probably going to postpone that release for later in the year, so we may or may not see it.
I was going to say that's my hot take is that GTA 6 actually isn't releasing in 2025.
Yeah,
it's a 2026 game.
Yeah,
I don't have faith in Rockstar ever coming out on time.
Yeah,
they delay all their games like 3 to 5 times.
That's fine. I probably won't play it anyway. So
I mean, I think the
That's
thing
crazy.
is, like, they make such amazing games, and they only get better. Like,
yeah,
Red Dead 2 was
incredible,
jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and I still play. I still have like 400 or 500 hours into GTA 5. We just logged in a few weeks back, and or me and my other buddies, and we played some of the new event they had for Halloween.
Was that?
But
cool?
It's like 10 years later, I'm still playing GTA 5 and installing it to play online. That's wild.
I still haven't touched the story on GTA 5 yet.
Yeah, see, exactly.
I've never played it. I need to play it at some point.
It's gorgeous. They've updated it a number of times. But I know that when GTA 6 dropped, it's going to set a new precedent for what kind of game can come out.
Yeah.
And Rockstar, though I don't care for how they handle some of their, like the money shark things that they have for GTA and stuff like that, they make a quality, crazy good game. So whenever they do release it, or at least let's just say when it comes to PC,
I was gonna say,
because it's definitely not going to come on PC out the gate. They're going to give it to consoles first, like
it.
they always do, and that's fine. I will wait patiently. But
I'm not buying a
cannot wait
PS5
for
Pro
GTA
for
6.
it.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I'll wait for that on PC for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for your thoughts, guys. So we do have a little bit more to talk about with the Game Awards. There was 46 announcements, so I'm not going to list those all right now. So what I'm going to do for you guys, our listeners, is I've compiled the list of the most viewed trailers, so the biggest announcements from the Game Awards, and we'll read those ones to you. So the top trailer was The Witcher 4.
Oh man,
Which was huge. And then the next trailer, the top one, was Elden Ring Night Rain. Number 3 was Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophecy, or The Heretic Prophet. I don't know why they wrote that.
the Naughty Dog one, right?
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah,
the new Naughty
yeah.
Dog game. Right under that was actually the Helldivers 2 Omens of Tyranny trailer, which I love that update. Underneath that was the Borderlands 4 trailer. And then under that was the Mafia, the Old Country update. And one thing I will say, I'm surprised 2 of the announcements weren't on here, was Onimusha and Okami, 2 returning games from Capcom. So a little shocked they didn't get as much popularity on the uploads, on the trailers.
It kind of makes sense when you have something that's been gone for so long. I don't know if a lot of the current fans are going to be that interested. Well, not current fans, but current people are going to be that interested in it. I feel like once those games come out and release and maybe they do capture those new fans, then we might see more people being excited for those 2 IPs. But being as somebody who has played a lot of the Onimusha games, they kind of dwindled in popularity as more and more of them came out because they got worse and worse and worse. So it's like I wasn't expecting everybody to be like, "Oh yeah, Onimusha." And it was like when we watched it, 2 of us were in the room of like 14 people were like, "Onimusha," and everybody's like, "What's that?" So
Fair. No, that's true. I guess, I'm just blinded by Capcom love.
But I trust Capcom to make everybody a fan, kind of like how they did with Monster Hunter. That was technically a niche audience originally, and then now everybody and their mom plays Monster Hunter,
Yeah. No, that's true. I still think, like, just looking at that list, I was like, this was a pretty crazy show. We had some big games. So what I wanted to do, and I know you guys have been thinking about it, but we're going to go around, and so it doesn't have to be the most popular trailers, but I want you to rank what were your top 3 announcements or trailers.
Yeah.
And we'll start with you, Troy.
I'll go first. Okay, so number 3, we'll start from the bottom. Number 3 was Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. I thought that was a really amazing trailer. Number 1, I was like blown away by how good the characters looked and animated. I always trust Naughty Dog to be able to convey emotion probably the best when it comes to character acting, right? Yeah. I thought it was very cool that I was at first not able to tell it was Tati Gabrielle, who's an actress who's been coming up a lot lately. Whether you like her or dislike her, I think that she's like a very passionate actor, and a lot of people have been like signing her onto things, and it was cool to not be able to recognize her at first based off of like their ability to take a character's like a person's personality, put them in the game, and still kind of twist them a little bit. I thought that just everything about like the 80s futuristic vibe, all the different marketing that was in it, from Porsche to Adidas, all that was all very good. I had one small gripe about the trailer, which is why it's at number 3, is I did not like how the trailer ended with her pulling out like a sword and fighting some weird bland robot dude. I was like confused. The tone kind of changed a little bit. I thought it was going to be chasing down, people or somebody. Like I thought she'd go to like a cool futuristic city and do some stuff there, but no, she went to some ruins and fought a robot that looks like a basic robot you'd fight in any type of action game. So that trailer was really good up until the end of it.
My only complaint was the unrealism of her shaving the head. As a man who has to shave his head quite regularly, it's not that easy to clean. Yeah. She like literally just was like, takes it like a little. I was like, bro, no. Even with as little hair as I have, it is all over the place. It's messy.
Also, I don't like, I will say I didn't like how she was hitting it with the clippers. I was like, that would hurt. Like the way she was hitting it with the edge of the clippers, I thought she'd go backwards when you're shaving the head. At least whenever I used to get a fade, they would never just hit me with the tip of the clippers like that on the scalp.
I'm trying to think. No,
I haven't shaved my head in some time.
So I was gonna say I just take the clippers and put it like that.
Yeah, and you go back, but you don't hit the tip like that. You push like that.
That is true. That is weird.
So when she was clipped,
she's got all those scars on there. Yeah. Maybe she's just really bad at shaving her head.
I was gonna say, you gotta hurt yourself. You're gonna get some burns up there. Number 2 would definitely have to be what is it? Here, I actually wrote it down. There's so many different announcements. Project Robot, is that what they called it? So I played Shadow of the Colossus, I played Ico, I played The Last Guardian. So anything from that team I ended up playing. Whether I love it or not, I think only The Last Guardian was one I disliked. But I've been waiting for them to come out with another game. I thought that the trailer was really cool. I think it was 60 seconds because it counted down the entire time. Mm-hmm. There was no real action or anything, but still the ambiance and everything was built really well. There was all he did was like climb a robot. Yeah. But just the animation was sick. I think that the vibe was sick. I think I don't know if we're gonna ever pilot a mech or if we're just gonna be jumping in the heads and flying away. I don't know what we'll be doing in the game, but I thought that the trailer was put together very well. So yeah, Project Robot's number 2, and then number 1, Onimusha.
Yeah.
yes. I'm a huge fan of Onimusha. I've played every single one of them. I remember being young and playing the first one with my brothers. It was like, my brothers aren't gamers now, but back when we were younger, all they could do is pretty much watch me play video games. Mm-hmm. And playing through the first Onimusha was so much fun because we were all sitting around calling the dude Sananosuke. His name's Samanosuke, but we were just like, oh, Sananosuke, like just having a good time. We didn't know anything about what was going on.
Sure.
But the memories I have with that genre are like some of my most favorite games. And we've talked about how you like extremely hard games. Yeah. One of the coolest things not coolest things I've done, but one of my favorite gamer moments was I got to the last boss in Onimusha 4, and I remember I had only one health item, and I had saved with only one health item, and I was down to like my last tick. So I had to get through the first phase of the boss without getting hit, then use my health item, and then fight the second half of the boss. And so it was one of my best accomplishments, and I still remember it. It took me like a whole weekend to beat him.
Yeah.
But I love the Onimusha games. I just recognize the minute he starts sucking the souls, and I'm like, dude, no way. And so I thought that the trailer was really well put together. I think they've taken it into a really cool, like, I don't know what to call it, but the new like vibe is very cool. So Onimusha number 1. I cannot wait.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Josh? What's your top 3? Starting from the bottom.
I would say though I'm excited about Witcher 4, I 100% in Witcher 3 minus the Gwent achievements because I don't like card games in my action games.
Yeah.
I am a diehard CD Projekt Red fan, so I played a ton of Cyberpunk, The Witcher 3. I love fantasy games like that. I love Geralt. I don't think we'll get it next year, but that was probably my number 3 one. But I cannot wait to play as Cirilla. I follow that story so closely for so long. I've read all of his books. So I am so desperately excited to see a continuation of that universe when I really wasn't even sure if they would even be going back that route at a later time.
Yeah, I thought they'd go back. I didn't think that
I thought it'd be a prequel, right? I thought it'd be a prequel to like, you know, having them be in like the different Witcher schools. Then there's like back when there was 5 of them, and then you can pick different ones and kind of create your own. But I think the continuation of this now, just to like, is she the last Witcher? You know, what is she? Where is Geralt in this? Is he even alive still?
We do know he's alive. They've confirmed.
They have confirmed he's alive. Okay,
he's
nice.
going to be in the game and advise.
That's fantastic. Awesome.
I guess I want to ask you guys this about, because this is something I thought about, and call me like what's the word? Call it PTSD. But after seeing what happened to Joel in The Last of Us, what's your biggest fear of what they'll do to Geralt in Witcher 4? Or
if they try to butcher Geralt like they do Joel, I think that would be CD Projekt Red's like biggest mistake, because it wouldn't make any sense. Like Geralt had a fantastic ending at the end of Blood and Wine. I would be extremely disappointed in it. I would feel like it's extremely cheap if they did that. I would not like the game.
So then butchering him, that's your big fear?
It's not even a fear for me, because I just trust them enough to not be that stupid.
Yeah, Naughty Dog took a big leap with that, and I don't know if it played out the best way.
But do you have any like fear of what they could do to Geralt in there? Like make him really bad, and you have to save him a bunch of times or something like that.
My biggest fear would to make him so old, like, because that's my biggest fear, is growing old and being incapable, and making him some incapable character who's no longer the strength of who he was.
Yeah.
You know, because Geralt's predecessor was
Vesemir.
You know, and if we played the game, you know, we all know what happened with Vesemir, and I'm like, don't do that to him. Yeah, don't make him a frail older man that was on his last days. Like, bring him back as a true mentor to Ciri. If anything, an Obi-Wan to Anakin kind of thing. Like, Obi-Wan was not old and frail until years and years and years later. If Ciri is now an adult woman who's a Witcher, Geralt should be just as strong next to her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I watched the interview on SkillUp's Frames Per Second with the director and the writer and the head writer. They talked about it's only a few years later after Witcher 3, so it's not even like that long. Geralt and most of the friends, they said, will be more of an advisory role. But it sounds like they're going to be just kind of like chilling in Toussaint, or like where the ending was or something. And I was like, yeah, because the story is going to be focused on Ciri's path of being a Witcher, because she's going to be like one of the only female Witchers ever, and she's the first new Witcher in decades.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to explain all that, because like if you remember Witcher 3, the Trial of the Grasses is gone. Like I don't know how she is able to take the trials, but. I'm looking forward to seeing how CD Projekt Red answers those questions, because I believe in them. They have a lot of respect and for the source material. So I trust them. I just am a little. I'm like,
I hope we see more of their alternate realms where like you know, the oh my gosh, the Wild Hunt came from, because we saw a few of that, you know, towards the end of it when you played as Ciri in 3, but. Like, if we're playing as Ciri now, and she's a realm hopper, and she has this elder blood that makes her incredibly powerful, where portals will open up for people to come attack her, what other realms are we going to end up seeing with it? Is it going to be a high fantasy now, you know, or higher?
That's one of the things I will say is one of my like hesitations with them making her a Witcher. I was like, why? She was the child of the elder blood.
She's already way stronger than they were.
She's way stronger than a Witcher. She doesn't need their magic. Like,
and maybe it's just Witcher and title alone that like she didn't need to go through the trial, and she's just, you know, learned to do all these things because she's just that powerful.
See, that's the thing, is like I'm wondering what. Again, this is why I'm excited, because they switched her eyes out. Like, she's gone through the Trial of the Grasses. Like, she has Witcher eyes now.
The cat eye slits.
Yeah.
And she drank the cat thing. I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, I know that one.
Yeah, so I'm like, so what happened to her elder blood powers? Because obviously they're still having an effect, because her eyes, when she drank the potion, look way different than like a Witcher on a potion. So I was like, Okay, well, I'll let you guys cook, but
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
I think it'll be some time, so that they're probably still developing a lot of it.
Yeah, it
but,
just went into full production, so we still have it minimum 2 years before it comes out.
But yeah, that comes in at number 3 for me. Number 2 was, I think we all noticed, I called this out the second it came on, was The Long Dark. I remember that art style because I played this game when I was kind of like struggling myself a little bit, and it was kind of, I remember seeing a parallel with this game in my life at the moment it came out, so I was obsessed with it, and I remember playing it in my car on my laptop because I had to sleep there that night. It was the whole thing. But yeah, the second I saw the art style come out, I was like, this reminds me exactly of The Long Dark. So now to have them announce a sequel so many years later, I'm so stoked for it. Cannot wait. And then lastly, of course, the big guy, the reigning champion returns, Elden Ring, Night Rain. That's got to come in at the tippy top. And that's next year, which I'm still shook by. But I cannot wait. There's implications of Dark Souls connections to it. They have assets from 1, 2, and 3 confirmed in the trailer alone. I cannot wait. No, I really cannot wait. I am a huge FromSoft nerd. I have all of like the hardbacks and stuff like that of all the games, and I obsess over that stuff. So the next Night Rain, I'll hundreds of thousands of hours.
So, hearing that game is going to have bosses from previous games, what is one specific boss you want in Night Rain?
You know what's funny is they showed it, and that was the only boss I've ever wanted from a Dark Souls game in Elden Ring was the Nameless King.
Yes. I've never.
He's so good.
Yeah, you know that I barely jumped into the like FromSoft like realm in Dark Souls 3 because I bought it out on whim on my PC when I first built it, and I didn't even play the DLC, so I've never fought the Nameless
wasn't even
King.
DLC.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the Dragon Peak.
Oh man, so it's like Millennia of Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
It's a completely optional area. The area is already notoriously hard, and the boss is like teeth and nails hard, and I love it.
Yeah.
It took me weeks to beat him, and when I finally I felt like I became the Nameless King. I was like, I am better. I'm God, But yeah, that one alone is the biggest. Now, if they're gonna do other ones, I want to see Artorias return. I want to see. I'd like to see some of the Abyss demons. That'd be pretty cool to see.
I would love to see the
the
Abyss
Asylum
Watchers.
demons or something like that. Yeah.
The Abyss Watchers fight.
Yeah.
From Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
I think that
man.
would be a really cool one too.
Any weapons that you guys want from the previous games? Are there any like specific weapons with weapon skills?
I'm so basic. I just like great swords.
Yeah.
So just give me my claymore.
I would say there's a few of them, but I actually, the only hope when it comes to weapons and magic and things like that is that they don't include all of the really overpowered stuff from Elden Ring. Because though there's amazing spells and they're gorgeous and they're really fun to use, there was a moment when I was going my magic playthrough that I was like, this is no longer the challenge that I admire because these spells are insanely powered. Like I don't have to get near them and I can just annihilate them and I can just run through an area. And it's compared to like Sword and Shielding it, where you have a knight in front of you. He's made of stone, and you're gonna have to try to dodge him a few times and have some tact to it. Not that magic isn't fun; it's amazing. I still just prefer to kind of be like a battle mage, where like I cast a few spells, but for the most part, it's just to kind of gain space and slam in there. But there was one Ash of War. I think it was from the Elden Ring DLC. It was like the Zenitsu one, where it was like an electric dash. And it clears space so fast. So if there's any of them that doing that, like I love those that just like, or like the Bloodhound Step, where I immediately come into a different area and I kind of disappear, move quickly to, get out of the way of something.
There's a skill that you get from the DLC. It's the guy who's like wrapped in like ropes and stuff. I know that if you help him, I think you get or if you kill him, you get his like weapons, but if you help him, you get his skill, and it's like you dash through and it leaves a bunch of cuts behind you. I want that skill really bad. So I pretty much want that skill. I have his whole outfit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Night Rain is really going to change the game for extraction shooters. And with them announcing it outright without really having a cinematic, I wonder if it's like, since they're using older assets, that's the reason that they've been able to kind of just push this out really quickly, because they're not having to remake anything. They're just converting it and building kind of a new realm to play in Elden Ring.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I am surprised it's going to be procedurally generated, like it's randomized.
Yeah.
I guess it's not procedural, but it's randomized what the map will look like. So I'm excited for that, though. And I'm really excited for the movement and like other things. Like we saw the run speed looks like Sekiro.
Yeah.
There's double jumping. There's but also the characters have unique abilities. Like the eagle character can fly.
Yeah.
And that no one else can do that.
Well, everyone gets a glider, but yeah, the eagle character I think is the only one who can get that.
He's the only one who can fly and like.
Is it
come down.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everyone
I
else,
could have sworn everybody had that glider thing.
everyone can use the glider at those like blue looking trees.
Okay, so that's what that was.
Yeah, there's no fall damage anymore, so everyone can just hop off like ledges and stuff. And
That's
Played
gonna
about
be
that for thousands of years.
So, I guess question: There's not going to be any PvP in this, right?
nope, they've confirmed not a single bit. It's
That's
fully
amazing.
co-op. Yeah,
Well-
I hate invasions. Their netcode isn't good enough for their PvP.
But if they make it good
But
enough,
if they
I would
made it good
totally-
enough and it was like a BR where you're killing monsters and stuff, it'd be kind of like Supervive, the game we played, where you just kill mobs and fight each other, which would be kind of tight.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of fondness for the for the Souls PvP because I've played hours of it, hundreds of hours, especially in Dark Souls 3. That's probably where I did it the most because of the Covenant farming.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like it's super easy to hack their netcode because I run into hackers all the time whenever I play a Souls game online, and I don't trust them on that part. So I'm like, make it co-op? Hell yeah! I don't want to touch any invaders.
Oh man, I will say one of my favorite things about FromSoft games is those bosses are great. Whenever I encounter an invading NPC, it's always that like thrill. It's like, oh man, a similarly built NPC I can fight one-on-one. And I almost wish that you could have like a randomizer where like the they would randomize 3 of them, or if you ever went to the giant in Caleb,
The giant jar.
yeah, giant jar, you could fight 3 of them in a row.
I love
that.
that.
Was my favorite quest because then it was like I would just fight other people or other randomized people's gear that they would be saved that went and fought, and so much fun. And I wish there was more of that compared to, just send me, an AI that takes someone else's build, then AI fight the AI compared to sending them to me.
That would have been actually way cool if they did that for the Coliseum update instead of
Right? Because then you can just
I'll
go
like that
nonstop
more.
against the AI who has these builds of enemies, and people will just build crazy builds to see what the AI can get away with, and then you're having to fight that.
Yeah.
I would have loved that way more than like their crappy netcode that anyone can just like hack and just win, or just like be invulnerable or spam you with the death blight.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my top 3.
That's a good top 3.
I'll say for me, the top 3 for me, at number 3 is probably The Witcher 4, because I am a huge CD Projekt Red fan. I've been playing since Witcher 2. I didn't play Witcher 1, but I on my 360 I played Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, and
Samesies.
I adored it.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so excited for 3. I even love Cyberpunk 2077. I just think that they're a very good studio. So even though I have all these questions and like I'm just like confused at how they're going forward with Witcher 4, I'm still just so excited because of the pedigree of the company. I'm like, cook, guys. I believe in you. So I'm excited to play a Ciri because I loved her in Witcher 3. So it's going to be really cool. Number 2 for me, honestly, was Onimusha.
Yeah.
Onimusha, I'm probably my favorite company next to Nintendo is Capcom, because I'm a huge Devil May Cry and Resident Evil and Monster Hunter fan. Seeing them take these franchises, they've been doing this where like they just take old stuff, they bring it in to their new RE engine, and then I fall in love with it. So I have, looking at the gameplay from Onimusha, I'm like, oh yeah, no, cook. I am so ready. This is going to be so good. Yeah, I just think that they're kind of unrivaled in action. And so very excited for that. My number 1 though, is Project Robot.
Yeah.
I love Fumito Ueda. Shadow of the Colossus is like one of the best games I've ever played in my life. And I think it's just, I'm really excited to see what he has to do. I didn't really like The Last Guardian. But I do think that the way the vibes are working on Project Robot, like with how it's more focused on climbing, and like your companion is a mech that's also like the head of a mech that flies off. I just think it seems really, really good, and he always has a very interesting way of like tying it in in a very emotional way. Because I got moved a lot by Shadow of the Colossus. Between the music, the themes, I thought it was like true art, masterpiece, pure cinema. And even Last Guardian hit those emotional moments. I was just more frustrated by the gameplay design because having to rely on a fidgety AI bird creature kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't seem to be that way. I like the more return to just a character, like climbing stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm very excited for that game. Hope it comes out sooner than later. I hope it's not a 2030 game. Which, we waited 12 years for Last Guardian, so I don't have a lot of hope that it won't be a short wait, but I'm hoping.
2026 is probably the longest I'd want to have to wait for that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because these games are usually only like 6 to 8 hours long. They're not.
I mean, it's a 2024 game. Like I said, it's been a while. What if they just like with Elden Ring? Like I was not expecting the sheer size, of the game. So I'm hoping with that, like I think it's going to be 4 to 5 times. I want to climb countless monsters. I want to forget that I climbed some and go back and climb them again.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like my favorite feeling. It's like, oh, I forgot about this one.
Mm-hmm. Nah. That's true. I actually would love that more.
Yeah.
But I'll see what he's got.
yeah. Knowing him, his games are normally short but sweet. But we'll see what he's able to do.
Yeah. Now, before we move on from the Game Awards, there's a results show we got to do.
Yes.
Because last episode, Troy and I made bets on the Game Awards.
Yeah. And you know what? Can you do us a favor? So we haven't sat down and actually tallied everything yet. So we're going to have you tally if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go through the results of all these. So I've got them pulled up here from the previous episode. So these are all the bets that we made. All right. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 bets, it looks like.
Yeah.
And so essentially some of these are you have to get it right or you have to get closest. So starting with the first one, what announcements do you think will be there? I bet that it would be for 10 points that it'd be Kid Icarus. He bet for 7 points that it'd be Tifa for Tekken. Neither one of us were correct.
No, so we lost those.
Neither one of us got any points on that first bet. But they did announce Clive for Tekken, which I almost want to give you half points.
I know,
because it was a Final Fantasy character.
It was, but it wasn't the Final Fantasy character.
It wasn't the one, but
I rooted for. So.
But it was close. It was close. I did not think that they'd put Clive in Tekken.
Neither did I.
Number 2, Jason did get this one. Who did we think would win Game of the Year? I said Metaphor. He said Astrobot. He was correct for 5 points.
Astro?
Yep.
An Astro $1 billion. Astro sweep.
We said, what celebrity do you think would be there? He took the safe bet and said Ella Purnell, which she had 2 reasons to be there.
Hey, you took a safe bet either. Don't sit here and try.
Who was the other one?
And I voted Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's totally safe
for
bet.
the Sonic movie, which he didn't show up.
He didn't show up, but his phrase did. Because the guy said, you're breathtaking. So I said he'll be there for the you're breathtaking. So I feel like I should also get half a point.
I'll give you 1 point for that one. How about that?
You got to give me 3. You got to give me 3 points for the Clive.
I don't get any points. I don't get any points. But the you're breathtaking was there. So Ella Purnell, he was right. He got the 3 points. She was even announced before the show, which we said was fair. If it was any announcement after we made the bets, then it was fair. He got Ella
Purnell. So Gotti was 5 and this one was 3.
Yeah, he got
It's because it was too safe. That's why the points were lower.
Okay.
If I went for a more outlandish one, it would have been
a bit more. And so you got.
Was there any other celebrities that was there? I don't.
We had Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, we had Snoop Dogg. We had
Aaron Paul.
This is so dumb. How did I forget the name of the guy who does Indiana Jones?
Harrison
Ford. That's right.
I need to drink more coffee.
But again, safe bets on both. And again, I would totally expect Keanu to show up. He's been in the last 3 or 4
He was in Sonic. He's Sonic as Shadow, so I thought he'd be there. So
that makes sense.
No, but Ella Purnell showed up, and she didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know.
Which made me dumb. I was kind of upset. But they did offer. He did offer for her to go up and say something. She did.
Yeah, she declined. I
was like, come on, Ella. Everybody loves your voice. Say something. How many world premieres will there be in the show? Jason said 48. I was a sly devil, and I said 47.
Turns out there was 46 in total, but the bet was about the actual show, not the pre-show announcement.
Yes.
There was only 38 in the actual show. I lost by a country mile. He got the points. 5
And that was for
points.
5
That's
points.
5 points. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 5 points. And then we had how long would the longest acceptance speech be? Jason said 7 minutes. I said 5 minutes. What was the longest one we found?
It's 3 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yeah.
You won.
So I won.
Who was the speech?
Oh.
Was it not the we said
No, it was-
acceptance, not any
No.
speech.
Yeah, no, the 3 minutes wasn't Sven's.
Right, exactly, 'cause it was
the 3
longer.
minutes was the game of the year, Team Asobi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're the
Yeah,
one who
you're
got
right.
it.
Because we said acceptance speech, not any speech.
Yeah.
Because then I think Sven's speech was like 6 or something.
It was only 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Also, wow, it felt like a while. He had a lot to say.
I was gonna say I had to count everything. So
You guess 5 minutes?
I guessed 7 minutes. He
Okay.
guessed
That's
5
5.
minutes. That's why he gets the points.
And that's why I get the points.
Okay.
And then we guessed how many F-bombs there would be.
Oh, there was a couple, weren't there?
There were 6.
There were 6.
Yeah, there were only 6 F-bombs from Joseph Ferris. And I want to say half of them were bleeped out, but they still counted. You
they
said
still
they counted.
Yeah.
What were the guesses?
I guessed 26. He guessed 30.
So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we
That's a
both
lot
thought there
for
would
the
be
Game Awards, guys. Come on, kids watch
hey,
this.
wait, no. When he did the fuck the Oscars, like
he said fuck like a few times. So we were hoping
Yeah, we were hoping a lot more people would be.
So
hopping
it was
on
30
that.
and
26, and I
26.
won that one.
okay, that's 5 points.
And that would be all of our bets.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it
So
was a
what-
Troy sweep.
Was it a Troy sweep? What was the score?
Let's see. So 5, 10, 15, and then 15 for Troy, and then Jason, you got 8. Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, it was 15 for Troy, and Jason, you got 8.
Yep.
Yes.
So that would put me as a victor. And so we did only have one really great submission for what the loser should do, and that was wear a shirt with the winner's face on it. So we did get a link. I'll have to take a photo, and you have to wear a shirt with my face on it. I'll make sure I look cute.
And then we'll post it to the YouTube, the socials. You will see me wearing a shirt with Troy's face on it.
Yes, which I'd like for you to wear on my birthday, which is coming up soon.
Yeah, no, works for me.
All right. and those were our Game Awards bets. I really thought I was going to lose because for some reason I forgot that we were doing like who got the closest on a few of them, and I was like, damn, El Purnell really won it for him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to be walking around with a shirt with your big ass grin on it.
Oh yeah, no. I was already thinking about it too. That's how I know that like karma exists, is because I was sitting there thinking when she sent the link, and I was like, that's great. No one else is like sending suggestions. I'm like, I'm gonna do the like 6 poses that's like all the faces doing different things. I'm like, it's gonna be the funniest shirt. He's going to have to wear this. It's gonna be fun to post. And then, of course, I put all that effort into it, and the universe is like, you dumb bitch.
Jason, you dumb
should
bitch.
do like the George Costanza thing on the couch, and then just put it on the shirt, and he's got to wear it around and explain it.
That's what I was hoping for, but nope.
That would be funny.
But yeah, that's it for the Game Awards. Really looking forward to next year's, but very happy that Jeff pulled off such an amazing show. To round out impressions, we're also going to give a spoiler-free review, just our thoughts on the recent Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie.
Yeah, just a mini review. Just talk about what we liked, what we disliked. I'll let you start. I'm a Sonic fan. I can talk about it ad nauseum, but
I'm a huge Sonic fan as well. So
oh yeah.
yeah, especially Sonic Adventure 2,
Yeah.
which this entire movie was based on.
Yes, essentially. I mean, even I'm not going to get into spoilers, but there was an act that felt like it was like, hey, what should we do? And we're like, well, we've all played this part. Let's just do that.
Yep.
And they're like, all right, yeah, let's do that.
And it worked.
And it worked amazing.
I was going to say, I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's a cinematic masterpiece or anything. I think that there's definitely some like complaints to be had, but I think that they're kind of minute as a Sonic fan. I think probably the only thing that and without being like too spoilery, is I still am disappointed that Sonic's growth through the movies. I feel like they've kept him too long in the kid phase. I've been waiting for him to get to his game phase where he was more of like a 16 to 17 year old and he was more confident, more cool. Sonic still feels like a young shonen character still trying to get his like grasp on things. So it was really frustrating as a Sonic fan to see him struggle so much against Shadow when they were more evenly matched in the source material.
Yeah.
And in fact, Sonic actually got the upper hand of him in the games.
Yeah.
But I will say this. That all went away with how cool Shadow was.
Yeah.
Because the highlight of the movie was absolutely was Shadow and Gerald and Eggman.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that those were my two highest points. I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. And honestly, this is probably one of his best performances in like a decade. It was so good. He looked like he was having so much fun with this role, more so than the first two movies. Just really well done. And Keanu Reeves, yeah, he's dry, but it worked for Shadow.
Yeah.
It worked really well for Shadow. But yeah, what about you? What did you?
Yeah, I feel the same. I never thought we'd be here.
Yeah.
Three movies in. Did not think we'd be 3 Sonic movies in. Thought the first one was going to come out. It was going to do okay. That'd be it. Second one, I was like, oh, that's very nice. I didn't think I'd be in a point in my life where I'd see Sonic and Shadow on the big screen and hearing kids like yell about it.
Can I also say this, because this was fresh off the presses this morning? Did you think it would beat a Lion King movie?
If it's the live action, yes. I hope everything beats every live action.
The live action's actually much higher grossing than anything we've ever.
Oh my God.
No, the Lion King live action like made over $1 billion.
It did?
Yeah,
That's
it did
wild.
extremely well.
What?
Mufasa's not doing so well compared to Shadow.
That's good. I'm happy.
So I never thought that, because the Sonic movies are great for. They were huge successes for their budgets. They don't get nearly as much as like a Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
So to see it doing so well when another big hit is coming out the same day, I was pretty shocked about that, because I'm just happy to see Sonic thriving like that. I never thought we'd get here either.
Yeah, did not. I like the movie overall. I'll have to agree with you. Two of my favorite parts were Shadow and Jim Carrey as Gerald Robotnik.
Yep.
I always forget that old man's name. But him opposing himself was really cool, because you would think that he's two very similar characters, but for them to have such big differences and also play off each other to the point where, like, I kept on having to remind myself that there are not two people on screen.
Yep.
And they're interacting so well. So I love that, that dynamic. And then Shadow, I'm a huge Shadow hater. Been hating Shadow since the day I was born. I hate the way he skates. I hate the way he looks. I hate the way his spikes stick up. Like, I hate Shadow. But I actually liked him quite a bit in this movie. I think Keanu did a great job. I thought that there was a level of, he's still kind of like corny cool, but I think that there was a little bit more life brought to him in the film. And so it kind of made him a little bit more grounded, more relatable. And so I ended up liking Shadow more than I thought I would. Overall, the movie was better than I expected it to be. Still a little bit like cheesy, certain parts, jokes that they needed to let go, but they don't let go. They're for the kids. I hear the kids laugh at it, and I'm like, all right, that's for you. I thought that their references were deep. There are a lot of very good references, straight down to, like, you and I discussed it. There's like a scene where you get to see a frame that's from like the intro to Sonic Adventure Battle, which is insane. So for us fans, it was really, really good. So
yeah.
I have a question, since you guys both saw the Sonic movie, and people always compare these two. How did you feel like it would hold up against the Mario movie?
So I'm a Mario fan, because he is on record on this podcast as not being a huge fan of the Mario movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I would say I'm going to be real. I think this movie. So I think Mario movie's better than the first two Sonics. But I do think this movie outed Mario.
Really? Okay.
Because I thought this one was more smartly done. The only reason I didn't like the first two movies in comparison, I don't know. Hang on, scratch that. I loved the first two movies. I just liked Mario more because I felt like it paid homage to the games better, way better. And Sonic 3 really cut back on like the humans, like storylines kind of meandering. They're still there, but I think they were more smartly implemented into this storyline in the Sonic 3 movie, and it felt more like a video game movie for Sonic 3, and that's why I think it's really good.
Okay. The only thing I hate more than Shadow is Mario.
Right? Oh my God.
I'm not a Mario fan. I don't like him. I've never liked him. Maybe it's because I liked Sonic when I was little and I just hated Mario growing up, but never liked Mario, never got the appeal. I did play Mario Odyssey, love that game, but for some reason I just don't like Mario, right? I don't like the Mario movie, but I hate to say it, even as a personally liking the Sonic movies, I feel like the Mario movie #1 beat both Sonic movies, like you said, and I do feel like finally I can say Sonic 3 was better than Mario, the first movie, but I do believe that probably the Mario 2 movie is going to beat every Sonic movie, because that's kind of how it goes with the games. Yeah. It's like for every 3 Sonics, they finally get a good one, and then like Mario's good like every time, which I hate because I don't like Mario. I will say that they're great games, but they're not for me. They bore me, but I can definitely say when you pound for pound, when you compare them by game design and just overall, like, I don't want to say like functionality, like polish and functionality. Yeah, it's like every 3 Sonics will get a great one, but we'll go through a bunch of shit, and then Mario come out with a great one. You're like, fuck. Every 3 Sonics, you get a good one, and then Mario comes out with a great. You're like, fuck. As I'm a big old Mario hater, but I do think that while this movie did better, that's only because we're now 3 fucking movies in, and they finally got their stride. I do think that the next Mario movie is probably going to clear it out, because they stay within the world. Yeah. Sonic, the biggest thing Sonic's ever done that's bad is focus so much on humans. Sonic X TV show, too much of the human characters. Sonic 06, too much of the human characters. They just constantly bring in the humans, and I don't like it.
Which one was the Sonic where he went gold, like Super Saiyan?
For the first time?
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Genesis?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the movie?
In the anime.
In the anime?
I remember he had I remember like watching it on Saturday morning cartoons.
That's Sonic X. That's Sonic X.
That's Sonic X. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't watch enough of Sonic X because I got to a point where I'm like, I'm so tired of this like weird Sonic and the humans and whatnot.
I liked it for like 2 months, and then me and Devin would be like, yeah, we're not going to watch this. We're just going to go play Sonic Adventure for the 50th time.
I just fell off of it. Yeah. I think that they always screw it up when they put too much of the humans and Sonic mingling. Just take us back to Mobius and let's just stay there, please. Right. Please.
Yeah, I actually, me and Troy have very similar criticisms of Sonic's direction. I don't understand why they try to mix him with modern era so much. It's so weird. Just, he's got a whole ass planet that's like way more interesting.
We know it can't work because even when you had Mario in the world with all the regular humans, it was like, I don't like it. Let's go back.
I was gonna say, yeah, they send him right. They put you in there for 10 minutes, and they're like, no.
We're like,
well, that's because it's the opposite for Mario. He started here, and goes to the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah. Sonic's like, I was raised as an alien. Now I'm coming to Earth. All right, Superman, Super Hedgehog, but yeah, definitely recommend the movie.
Yes, it was a good movie. Great, even. I think that it's great for the family. Kids will love it. I think there's enough jokes that adults will love it. Jim Carrey will make you crack up. This is like the best. Like, he's been good in all the movies, but I think this is the best he's been in a while. I had like straight up like flashbacks of The Grinch. There are certain scenes I won't get into that is like straight up a similar homage to like the way he acted with the screen in The Grinch. That like it was amazing. So.
Yeah, I actually like, because I chuckle a lot during the old Sonic, the first 2 Sonic movies. I laughed out loud at some of Jim Carrey's stuff, and like they got me. Yeah, they got me pretty good.
And the two after credit scenes were very good, very good.
There's post credit scenes in Sonic.
Yeah, there's a mid credits and a post one,
and both were pretty good.
Okay, every movie's doing that now. Okay,
every movie.
Next Christopher Nolan movie is going to have a mid credit scene.
But I would say that does it for the Sonic mini review, essentially. We're going to go ahead and take our break. When we come back, we're going to go over the game that you brought for us to talk about, and then we will end it out with, our
special
typical
season finale.
Special season finale. We'll see you guys in a little while. All right, and welcome back from the break. So we're about to hop into our language-defining games. This is a segment where we go over a specific game that sort of defined how we look at, enjoy, play games in general. Something that really means either a lot to you or really stuck out to you. But it's always, a game that you remember fondly. So for you, what would you say is a game or the game you want to bring today to talk about?
I think I have to give you guys a little bit of heads up on this one, but it's Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I think it's a game that a lot of people kind of let slide by. It was a very new genre. It was kind of unknown to I think the general gaming populace. When I say general gaming populace, I mean people who play like Call of Duty and FIFA and Madden, where like they play a few games throughout the year, but they don't really get into anything new. And I just, it took me a few runs at it, but something clicked my last run for it, and it was just such a fresh experience from any other game that I've played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few different things I like to touch on. We've got our story, visual, music, gameplay, and impact, right? So starting off story-wise, what was it about the story that stuck out to you?
In general terms, it is a post-apocalyptic America, but it is taking place in an alternate future of sorts. There is advanced technology, incredibly advanced technology, but essentially some apocalyptic event happened, and all of the main cities and place across the entire U.S. was pretty much just wiped out by this apocalyptic event. And there are these cities that would be like, one would be known as like New York, but they call them not cities. And the premise of the game is, or the story of that is, you're playing Sam, who is he's Sam Porter Bridges. And he is the president's son, and his role is to connect all the cities and connect the network, again, the Chiral network. And Chiral and all these things are a part of this newfound landscape in this apocalyptic world. And he has to traverse all these terrains, but the difficulty about traversing these terrains is that when it rains, it passes time forward on anything that the rain drops on. Which is how the entire world just essentially got eroded overnight because of this apocalyptic event. Because there was essentially just a tear in the realm between life and death. And that realm, that midway realm, is called Beaches. And that's where Sam comes in, because he was born as a repatriate, which means that when he dies, he comes back into his form. Which is essentially how he responds every time.
Oh, really?
It was a really cool way of showing the respawn system being a part of the lore in the game. Like he doesn't actually die; he just gets born again each time. And there is a terrorist that's happening, and he's trying to force an apocalyptic event to happen. And as you kind of uncover the story of what happened to this world, why is it so important to connect? It really becomes about community and people and making these connections and helping each other, and that you can't do things on your own. And once you start to realize the overall message is just about relationships and people and the complications that come across that come along with it, it was a jaw-dropping game.
Yeah.
And I know that Kojima got a little bit of weirdness because people were like, what is this, a walking simulator? And yes, there's a lot of walking, but it is done across such a beautiful landscape that's ever evolving, and you're adding things to it, and it was by far one of my, it's a title I initially even slept on, but when I picked it up and finally got into it, I cannot wait for more. Cannot wait.
Yeah. And I did want to say that game came out a while ago, so spoiler warning. You're allowed to say whatever you want to say about the game.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it came out a while ago. I feel like you should be able to talk about it.
No, yeah, absolutely. So the game, one of my favorite parts about it, it's done like kind of like The Last of Us, or even some of the like the Naughty Dog ones, where there, Kojima's facial recognition software in his games are insane. So there's Norman Reedus, there is, and the new one, there's Elle Fanning.
Yeah.
There's Guillermo del Toro. And
Jeff Keighley in there.
Yeah, it's got Jeff Keighley, it's got Troy Baker. I mean, AAA actors, and they're all playing these roles incredibly well. Even Léa Seydoux, who plays this counterpart, person, kind of a mentor of sorts.
Did they keep Mads Mikkelsen? How do you say his name?
Mikkelsen.
Did they keep him in the first one? Or
he is in the first one. He is actually a pretty big part of it. Yeah, and it's just an insane story, because you're only getting information piece by piece, and there's a lot that's been kept from Sam as well.
Yeah.
So as you're making these connections, you're starting to realize there's other people with other intents to take advantage of what's happening to him, and that's why it's so important that he's kind of making these decisions on his own to connect people. And then, you meet isolated, some people, preppers, who are like, I don't want help. I don't want to be connected to the unit. I don't agree with it. And your job is to convince them to join by doing things for them and showing them that you can't do and live this in this current world this way anymore. You have to have help. Just fantastic. But yeah. And then, of course, the combat for this game, it doesn't even come in until about 20 to 25 hours into the game. So you're playing an entire game before you even get a chance to shoot or kill anything, really. And that was one of my favorite parts because, I think it was Kojima really trying to make a way of showing it's not about the violence. It's not about combat. That every other game has that. Let every other game take care of that. This is about connections, relationships, and the whole thing they talk about there is strands and knots, because they want it to be like an interwoven web. So they use that vernacular often, and it's just fantastic.
That's cool. So to kind of talk about that, you say that you don't get into combat for a while, so a lot of the time you're going to be traversing land, delivering items, and so that kind of leads me into the visuals. I've seen a lot of snippets of this game. It looks breathtaking, but as not playing it, I've only ever seen him stumble across the rocky landscapes, maybe a few rivers and stuff. What are some of the things about the visuals that you really enjoyed?
It's most of the game is placed, or it takes theme around Iceland.
Yeah.
But then once you start discovering further across the U.S., or what was in that version known as the U.S., or Central Knots nation or whatever, you start to uncover the canyons and the desert ridges and the sulfur fields, and then there's there's wheat fields and there's waterfalls and all these new formations across the country, because time is passing when it rains, and it passes in an insane frequency. There's even a scene where Leia Sadu, she's captured by the main antagonist Troy Baker, and he strips her of her clothes and essentially makes her walk out in the rain with just a mask on, because he wanted to send her a message. So her entire body is frail and old, like that of an 80 or 90-year-old woman, but her face alone was recovered because he kept a mask on when he did that to her. And it's a really, really crazy way of doing that, where rain and things like that cause the landscape to change and evolve because time is passing in such a fast pace. And the equipment that you wear, it's all covered in advanced chiral technology. So it all looks really sick and super futuristic, and it glows, and you can get different sheens on it. So visually, when you're looking at your character, you end up feeling like a really decked out, super cool UPS guy in a certain extent. You're still delivering packages at the end of the day, but as it goes on, you start to unlock armor pieces to put on your body and things like that. But the landscape alone is jaw-dropping, and I think a big part of why, whenever you're traversing a long area in the beginning of a mission, what they'll do is they'll kind of remove the UI from the game, and Kojima works with this band called Low Roar, and it's meant to you want to experience with headphones on if you can, and as you're traversing through the game, they'll play these melodic songs that just pulls you into the moment, and it does it in such a perfectly well-crafted way where you feel like you are just traversing into the in the world together, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's gorgeous. It's depressing, but it's also uplifting because there's these springs you find, and you are, oddly enough, and I guess I forgot to mention this, you're in charge of this child, a baby in a pod, because there was advanced technologies in the past prior to the apocalypse where they utilized these things for repatriates like Sam to come back from. So essentially, as a man, he's got an umbilical cord connected through this thing to a baby in a pod on his chest, and that's the only really weird. Actually, there's a lot of weird things about it, but that was the weirdest thing to get across. Was when this baby cries, I have to attend to it and shake it a little bit to get it to come down, and then I'll put it back on my chest.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like any other game that I've ever played.
Yeah.
And then once I understood the goal of the game, traversal, the network, the strands, it ended up becoming this obsession to make more and get everything and be efficient in my deliveries. And though you don't see it a lot on the trailer and the gameplay, but there's roads and there's cars and there's zip lines, and you can launch rockets of pods of resources across the map and then pick them up and deliver them easier, puts them on foot. And it's insane what you can do with the game, and all the technology feels super crisp and clean. And And again, and when at a certain point, especially when you're doing the zip lines, you're traveling miles on a zip line, and it's just zipping you across, and you're over this landscape, and you're seeing all this beautiful scenery. It is jaw dropping.
Yeah.
So visually, it's one of the best games that I think if you wanted just an experience of just beautiful scenery, hands down, you're spending 90% of the game outside traversing the world.
Yeah. So when I'm not hanging out outside in the summer in Arizona, I should play that game.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I can enjoy
100%.
something.
100%.
But you did touch on it a little bit about the music. What were some of the songs or the tracks, if you can remember them, that you really enjoyed, or were there certain moments in the game?
Because they're actually on my Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Let me pull them out real quick. I won't play them or anything. But
yeah, because we can't do that.
No. Let's see.
Yeah, I've throughout the trailers that I've seen, I haven't really got a chance to attach myself to the music in the game, which is normally something that I'm really partial for, or like really enjoy, is what kind of music they have in the games, what kind of tracks, how they make the music. And so I've kind of always been interested when it comes to this game. How moving is the music really?
Incredibly moving,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It when you're in the moment, again, I think it's best experienced with headphones, lights off, because I think especially with what Kojima was trying to do, he wanted it to be a cinematic experience.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like a game to get in and out of. Like when you got into this game, you're supposed to kind of be involved with it, be a part of the world, and especially how he does cutscenes and with the actors and the facial recognition, you do feel so invested in the story, like you would with a movie. But I think the best song that they have, or at least the one that's most recognizable to me, it's called "Don't Be So Serious." And when you're starting the game and you first finally get control over Sam by himself, that's the song that they play before you head back to the main point of interest to learn more about the game and kind of, give you that first a little bit of bearing, the tutorial kind of. That song plays, and it's the first thing that really kind of gets you like, oh, this is meant to be like in a very large sense, a peaceful game.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be about the violence or the Death Stranding or the spirits and the enemies that you have to encounter as you're traversing this land where somebody died before. They would potentially be like this Death Stranding spirit of sorts that's there for you, BTs. And you have to utilize different ways of getting around them or getting rid of them. Without combat, which is, I think it's such a fresh take to it.
Yeah. So kind of going over the BTs and how you have to traverse and get around them, I kind of want to talk about the gameplay. So this does seem like a game that is unique to its own. There doesn't seem like there's ever been a game created with this type of gameplay intention. I don't know if that's the correct word.
Oh, yeah. It's a new genre.
It's a new genre.
I'll call it.
Yeah. So I guess I wanted to touch on like what are some of the gameplay moments that really meant a lot to you. You've kind of talked from like zip lines, from creating the roads, to how you approach combat. Again, like what are some of those specific moments that really stood out to you?
There was one moment in the game where you're essentially traveling between two of these NPCs, and they're set up in their own bases across the map, and it's one of my favorite moments in the entire game, because as you're reading emails and you're getting communications from these individuals, you start to kind of understand that there's a story between them. And one of the first quests was to get an artifact or a gift from one to the other. And then you find out you're the messenger between a love story that happens. And the final part of that quest is to bring one of them as packaging or as like a priority package and carry them on your back to the other person and their prepper base. And I thought it was such a unique take on that, because the whole game you've been moving packages and resources and things like that, but you're now moving people, and that was one of my favorite aspects of it. But at the end of the day, the core gameplay is walking and delivering packages, but it's also about managing weight, managing your distribution, how you walk, how quickly you're going to get there. You do have to have some planning with your route, because you can see even weather patterns that'll change live in game as time goes on. So you can see if there's rainfall coming, because that's going to damage your packages. And if they get damaged so much, even though they can withstand a certain amount of it, they will break and it'll cause what's inside to go bad. And then that's how you get a lower score on a delivery. And then the higher score on the deliveries, the more that your prepper will be likely to join the union and the knots and all that. And yeah, it's fantastic.
So on the gameplay, just to chime in here on that, because it's mostly walking, and it seems like a lot of the fun is like the strategy and like determining how to overcome that. How is the moment-to-moment gameplay? Is it fun to walk around in this area, or?
It is fun to traverse, and it's not like you're spending like 45 minutes to deliver something. The deliveries generally happen within like about 10 minutes or so, and there's usually between a delivery location to another before you start to really build the world out with like roads and things like that. Maybe one obstacle area to come over, and what you'll do is you'll leave a ladder across maybe a big crevasse that you have to cross. But what's cool about it is that ladder will show up in other people's games randomly, so that the next person to come across that will see your in-game ladder and see that it's you. They can even give you a like on it and give you rewards, because that now helps them through that same path. And then you'll start to see that commonly used ones were dropped by not the NPCs, but by other players that everyone's using, because it's the quick, fast to get there. Like you'll see a ramp, or you'll see somebody built a road in a certain area that you didn't build because they put the resources in, and it shares amongst the different worlds. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd say there is a lot of walking, but when it does get to that combat moment, you are fighting these big, tar creatures that are, created from whatever alternate realm that they're coming from. And the combat is really cool. You have non-lethal options. There are enemy NPCs or people, essentially other porters who went rogue.
Yeah.
And with those guys, you can't kill them with lethal rounds, because if you do that, it'll call what's called a void out, and a void out will cause essentially a nuclear warhead to just like zero out the entire thing in a perfect circle, and then just leave nothing but tar in its place. So actual, when humans die, every human that dies immediately starts to decay, and this void out is inevitable. So when people die, they have to get taken to an incinerator specifically before they go void out and get burned. It's another cool way of kind of dealing with that death, where like it's not over when you're dead. You're actually now your body becomes a bomb, and they have to immediately get you away from all public resources and people.
I did have a question. So I know that the game got a series of updates, and there was like a combat update. Can you touch on that and what they changed there?
Yeah, so they added a director's cut, and it added more weapons, more options, more crafting things for the world. So there's things like there's stabilizers where if you jump off of a high point, because normally would be fall damage and you would destroy your packages, but now it like slowly glides you down to the ground, so you can jump off of high points quickly without having to rope yourself down. The combat alone, there was a lot more to it. It made it easier to do hand-to-hand combat. A lot more weapons and options for that. Like Ebola guns I think they were original part of it, but they made a couple different variants for it with the director's cut, and that was really cool because when you need non-lethal methods, you just use this Ebola gun and it just wraps them up, shocks them, and they just go to sleep, and then you can go raid their stuff. And then I will say a really cool part about the expansion and extra DLC they did, it was they added a race course at a far point in one of the major map areas. And that was really cool, because then you could unlock this new Sportster or Speedster car, and then you can just zoom around the roads there, and you could also summon it if you beat all the time trials on the regular road to travel. So, normally you're in this big, weird, boxy truck that you're traveling with all your packages in it, and then you can, you either use a souped-out motorcycle, or you can use this little Sportster car too. It's pretty fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I guess the final question for you is, what kind of impact did this game have on you?
Oh, this game had a pretty heavy impact. So I picked it up. So my dad died last year over the summer. So I was having kind of a weird fall. It was my first Christmas without him, and I was kind of feeling a little weird about it. And for some reason, I wanted to give another go at Death Stranding. I just kind of picked it up, and impactfully for me personally, it really helped kind of come to terms and closure with my dad, as weird as that sounds. It was just something that, like, death in that world, it's a part of acceptance. It's a part of the natural cycle of things. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing to be scared of, but more something to learn from, mm-hmm. And it's just, the game spoke to me. So, and maybe that's why I went so crazy on it as well. But for me personally, it had a tremendous impact. And I felt so much more relief after having finished it. And then last year at the Game Awards, they announced the expansion, the second one. So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's beautiful. That's one of my favorite things about games is how they can. It's a lived in thing, like you can. It's not that it's better or anything than any other form of media. I think all form of medias have their intention, their pros and cons, and the reason for enjoying them for some other way. One of the things that I do love about video games is that when you're consuming this media, it's extremely tangible because you're in there, you're playing it, you're going through and trying to overcome the obstacles that your character has to overcome, and it really can help you come to terms with certain things. There's plenty of games that I've played when I've been going through a lot that have helped me get through it or learn from it because I actually had to stare a problem in the face, overcome that problem, and help me think outside of the box when dealing with my own real life problems. And so I think that's a beautiful thing that Death Stranding did that for you. And I think that's like probably the reason why Kojima comes up with and tries to attack these type of points is to make sure that they speak to people on a deeper level. And I think that's exactly what the game was intended to do. And I'm happy that I did it for you. So
yeah, it was, definitely will stand out amongst my favorite game of the generation.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Well, thank you for bringing that game. I think that definitely if you haven't played the game, you might be convinced to play it now because even I want to play it.
Yeah.
And I had no intention of playing Death Stranding. And I'm happy to have heard a lot about it. But now we're going to go into our last boss topic. Jason, I'm going to let you take this away because you had a great question for us.
Yeah, so normally our last boss is a topic, but since it's the last episode of the year and of this season of Game Language, I wanted to do a year in review special. And this topic we're going to do is called Pride and Shame. And what I want us to go around is answer, what was your most proudest game moment this year? And what was your most shameful gaming moment this year? So let's start with you, Troy.
I'm going to take it away?
Yeah, we're gonna do this clockwise.
Okay. I'll keep it short and sweet, because we've taken up a lot of time. I will go with my proudest gaming moment. I know that it's not like a big deal for a lot of the people who are still currently playing this game, but in Tekken, made it to Fujin. That was a big deal for me. I don't play ranked a lot. A lot of my friends know that I just practice in the training room, play against friends, and I'll play quick play. And most of my fighting games will unranked fighting games, and I do pretty good most of the time. I'm really good at the game, and they're like, Troy, you need to go play ranked. They're always mad at me because they're like, you show 0 games in ranked, but somehow you're this good. And for once, I actually challenged myself in Tekken and played, and it was cool to get to a point where I was getting my ass kicked by people. I was getting my ass kicked, and so making it to Fujin, I sat down, stuck with it, made it there. Recently got kicked out of Fujin, but I haven't really downloaded the game and played it again. But that was a big deal for me because Fujin was something that was difficult to get to for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So, making it to Fujin was probably the proudest thing I did this year. And then my most shameful thing is, so technically it's something from last year that kind of crept into this year, but I was supposed to play Baldur's Gate with my wife, and I didn't play it. And that's because I just could not get over how poorly it played on PlayStation, and I thought that by now it would be crossplay would be implemented, and so it still hasn't been implemented. It's going to be implemented next year. Is the most shameful thing because she bought that game and she was playing with me. She was having a great time. She understands that it's really hard to play on PlayStation. I almost bought a PS5 Pro for that in Final Fantasy, but biggest shame is that I was supposed to play through Baldur's Gate with her and I haven't done it yet, and it's pretty shameful.
Those are good ones. What about you, Josh?
Oh man, I can tell you my most shameful off the bat because I still have like shower thoughts about it. So I was playing Helldivers with a group of buddies, and one of my friends had like accidentally team wiped us a few times, and either I was tired that day or something, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. And we'd already played quite a bit, so we already kind of were aware of the of how the game works with the stratagems, with the airdrops and things like that. And right within seconds of me reaming him a new one about it, because he had done it like 5 times throughout the match. I explained, because he kept complaining about something not going right whenever he's trying to throw it, and it kept dropping, and it would drop right on top of us because we were standing next to each other. And I was like, I'm going to do it just to prove it to you. And I did it, and the same thing happened to me. And in the silence, you could not cut it with a knife in the room. And I think about that to this day, because it's like someone just like, they're so right and angry about something, and they rip you apart, and then they go into exact same, and you're just like, what? Oh. I still think about that, and I cringe over it because I'm like, I can't believe I never let yourself get that mad at a game. That was a good reminder for it.
Wow. What did you hit him with a damn bro? You right?
I tried to explain myself, but at that point, it was kind of like, nope, you have to eat shit on this one.
Wait, that's what the thing is.
No one was going to let me off the hook for it.
Every word just digs the hole deeper.
Oh yeah. I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I was like, all right, let's get out of this map. Let's go on to the next one. And then my most proudest gaming moment. I'd probably have to say just beating the expansion of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I just beat that for the second time. That was a pretty good one this year. It's a good feeling to do it the second time. But yeah, the big final boss of the DLC was tough as nails, but getting through them twice this year was such a satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
I get to walk away from an hour feeling a high from that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I'm the best.
Yeah.
I'm the Elden Lord.
Yeah. If you could beat him without any problems. I haven't beat him 1-on-1 yet, so.
Oh, I didn't say 1-on-1. My mimic tier was doing all the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah,
get that aggro out of here, man. I gotta need a heal real quick.
Like, you gotta be a masochist. You want to do it solo, old school style. No, but thanks for sharing that, guys. My shame actually is related to the Elden Ring boss. The shameful act for me for this year was the fact that I had to beat Radahn with the perfumer build. I was not happy with myself having to do that because I am a sword and shield guy. I should have just beat him with sword and shield, but I beat him, so I don't care. But I think about that. I've been trying to get back into playing it. And I'm like, you cannot do a cheese build again on Radahn. You have to beat him normally. So that's my shameful act, is that I didn't beat him honorably. My proudest gaming moment actually happened yesterday. After 12 years, I have beaten Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I actually beat it last night. Incredible game. And now I can close the book on that one.
Yeah, I'm actually very happy that you beat Ninja Gaiden 2. I've seen how much you've fallen in love with action games, and that is probably one of my most fond memories is playing that one. I think it's one of my favorite action games of all
it
time.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm really happy you beat that.
What was it? Is it Ninja Gaiden Black? Is that one?
That's the first one.
Yeah, the first one. That's the only one I ever played, but it was amazing.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden 2 is so tight. It's so good.
What console did 2 come out on?
Xbox 360.
Oh, it was a 360 title. Okay. It might still be available,
Well, I played on PC. So what I did is I bought the Master Collection, and then I modded the original files back into the game because the Sigma version, they actually made it easier. They toned down the gore and stuff and got rid of all the blood. And I was like, I ain't here for that. So I went and modded all the difficulty and stuff in. So it was I got to play the original experience with actually some of the extra content, but with it upscaled to the old difficulty. So that was awesome. But yeah, you can absolutely still play it. I think it's on sale, but check it out on PC.
Check that out for sure.
It's a good one.
But yeah, but thanks listeners for being with us. I hope that our pride and shames were good, and maybe send us some comments about your own pride and shame moments from 2024. We'd love to hear them. And but as we close this final episode for the year, I'm gonna hit you with some video game vocab, and then we'll have our final credits. The word for today is backlog, which looking back at games I think is appropriate. But a backlog is an accumulation of something, especially uncompleted work or matters, that need to be dealt with. And I don't know about you, but I need to complete all the games that are on my backlog.
Oh my god.
So many.
I had to change it on Steam that it only shows installed games, because when it shows all of my games, I'm like, all that money of all those games that I've just never beat. I've put in an hour or two in.
But you got it on a Steam sale.
That's how I justify everything. I bought the whole Resident Evil franchise for $15. I was like, yes.
All right. Well, it's time for the last part of the podcast. This is our final credits. We kind of gave you a small rundown. It's the last part of the show where we give you 30 seconds.
Uninterrupted.
Say whatever your heart desires.
Be it salty,
sweet,
or say nothing at all.
The mic is yours.
Tell us what's on your mind.
In 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I know that we've all talked about this, but Astrobot did not deserve to win Game of the Year. Okay, we were all together watching the Game of the Year awards, and I'm thinking, okay, Wukong's gonna take it, right? Because Wukong was the actual only real good game that happened this year, in my opinion. And sure as shit, when it got announced, the Mario knockoff got it. So congrats, Sony, you paid for it. You're welcome.
And cut.
Game Language is recorded at Grizzly Voices Studios in Mesa, Arizona. Our producers are Jason Flynn and Troy Brown. Our intro music is our personal track, Penguin Symphony. Our outro music is Jump by Snail's House, also provided by Riot Music. Our editor and sound engineer is Adonis Shipley.